the call, the escalation. This is your radio salvation. Go, 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 go.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Thoughts Count Anywhere. Coming to you live from the Go Live Vegas studios in the heart of Las Vegas, Nevada. We appreciate you taking time to join our post-Labor Day edition of Our Thoughts. The four Thoughtsmen coming at you from the Go Live Vegas studios. I'm Aaron Phillips. All the way to the end on that end is Matt Mullen.
Hello.
The man we missed last week, Mr. Scott Hosey.
How you doing?
Bellboy sitting up in the DJ booth, Mr. Jason Piper.
Does he got the little scratch thing going?
Does he have
there?
going? I don't even know if his mic is turned on, but we're getting a white square that's circling around his face on the camera there. And we have special in-studio guest. We'll get to a formal introduction after we come back from break, but we welcome him as he will chime in with his thoughts. Mr. Howard Brody, how are you, sir?
Doing great, thank you.
Thank you for coming in tonight.
Thank you for having me on the show.
Right on. Mr. Scott, how did things go for you this Mr. Scott? I need more power. How'd things go for you this weekend?
We had a great event over at Sunset Station.
Yeah.
We had Chris Bay, former Impact X Division champion and probably soon to be champion somewhere else. Maybe not Impact, but Chris Bay was great with the fans. And you know what? Hey, there's some pictures right there of the event. And we had D'Lo Brown, former WWE European champion and also Intercontinental champion. I think he was a
Who's
tag
that
champ.
guy? Wait a minute. Who's that guy on the right in that picture?
That
Who
is
that
our
masked man?
That is our producer, Aaron Inglis.
Wow, look at him.
With Chris Bay, who's, all masked up there.
Yep, I saw him Saturday night at an event, by the way. Said hello to him. Right on, that's cool. Glad everything worked out. Hey, by the way, if you want to give us a call anytime during the show, 702-329-6947 is our number. Of course, if you're outside the United States, it is 1-855-502-4321, and you do not even have to be Major Tom to make that phone number. Send us a live tweet. You can send us using hashtag ThoughtsCountAnywhere. We'll address your question, thoughts, comments, anything you want to add to the show. We'll bring them up. And, of course, as always, chat rooms are currently being monitored.
Absolutely.
As you see on the screen right now, I sent out a pre-show tweet so you get an idea as to what it looks like. A lot going on in the world of pro wrestling and a lot going on that we can talk about with our guest, Howard Brody, here in a few minutes. But as always, Scott, what do you say we get started?
Absolutely. Let's rock and roll.
I hear voices. First topic, Roman Reigns requested to turn heel himself. Matt, what's your thoughts on that?
I'm kind of surprised, but kind of not surprised just because of all the charity stuff he did or still does. I kind of thought he'd be like John Cena and never turn heel just because of all the stuff he does with kids. But
Especially now with the leukemia
Character-wise-
stuff, right?
Yeah, definitely. But character-wise, I'm kind of glad he is, just because something new and something better, and seems like he can do something cool with it. I hope.
Do we like the pairing with Paul Heyman, Scott?
Absolutely. Well, with Lesnar not being there, you need a heel to work with Heyman, and Lesnar, he's gone. I mean,
Right.
And why are you going to re-sign that type of contract when we're in a COVID state right now? You can't put butts in seats. So, I think Roman's a perfect mix for me. He draws a lot of heat in the past. Everybody loved him because of the leukemia stuff, and they'll love him again. I mean, how many times did Flair turn heel face, heel face? He's still doing it.
Probably as many times as he's had championships, to say the least, right?
Or ex-wives.
Or ex. He's had that many.
Howard?
Yeah, he's had that many.
All right. Listen, I think it's good for him. He needed something different coming back after being off for 5 months with the COVID and the way it was done. And obviously it sounds like Paul Heyman also had a lot to do with the way that all transpired. So maybe he's getting a little more involved in creative, if at least as it pertains to Roman Reigns. Jason, what do you think?
It's with the way Paul is able to run the mic, kind of cool seeing it differently where Roman's not actually talking, and with him having more of a say now, even though we could tell the storylines were coming from Paul when he was a writer, now he's got something back to do after not being the writer in charge of everything.
Well, the good thing now with Paul talking for him, at least his Roman's veneers won't blind everybody. I mean, am I right? Isn't that not what we all thought seeing him come? That was the first thing I saw when he, came into the ring. I mean, how white his teeth was, for crying out loud. It was crazy.
Just to go off this rumor too of like something else I've heard recently, supposedly it might be Roman versus The Rock at WrestleMania, and if it goes off like this storyline of him versus Jey Uso now,
right?
Maybe he just goes after the whole family and goes like down the line until someone's got to call Big Papa Rock to come deal with
Does that mean we're going to see him against Nia Jackson?
I was just going to say that.
We'd unfortunately probably see Roman never wrestle again. He'll get injured, right?
Absolutely.
Isn't that your biggest
I'm
concern?
I'm her biggest fan. Yeah,
right. Exactly. All right. Next topic.
Paying attention, aren't you?
Speaking of the beast incarnate.
Carnate.
You never did carnate? No, there's an A in there. Carnate. I'm from Jersey, man. Incarnate. We pronounce it the way it's written. Am I right, Howard? Yeah. Right. He's from Brooklyn. We say every letter that's in the word, don't we?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. Brock Lesnar, take it, Matt.
Rumor is Brock Lesnar might actually be heading to AEW. Chris Jericho said on his podcast that he wants to face him because he was supposed to face him in like April of 2018, but it got scratched. So he said he wants him to come in and he'll slap his fat face.
Good luck with that.
I don't think AEW signs him. Too much money. They'd want him to wrestle. They want him on TV. It ain't going to happen. No. I mean, going back to, his days at WWE, he picked and chose what, events he was showing up with. Mm-hmm. And with Roman, playing that card right now, he can pick and choose because of the leukemia, where he wants to wrestle and win.
Sure, absolutely. I don't think it would. Listen, he is a draw. I think we'd all agree to that. But I don't know that AEW really needs that kind of draw power right now. I mean,
they're taking a lot of heat right now for ex-WWE when AEW is supposed to be something different. And the trouble is when something different isn't selling merchandise and selling advertising, what do you go back to? The roots of WWE. And that's exactly what they're doing. And by the way, who said that?
They came right out and said, we're going to do something different. After our first week, I'm like, I didn't see anything different.
Yeah.
I mean,
they realize they're not selling merchandise and they're not selling advertising. So, it might be good wrestling, but, like I said, you sit at dinner with legends and they point over to a couple and say, they can tell you who John Cena is,
right?
But they can't tell you who Orange Cassidy is.
Right.
And that tells you who's going to put butts in seats and advertising dollars in your bank account.
Well, when you get involved in a mimosa match, I mean, what else is there to talk about? Kind of takes you back to the old mud slide matches and bikini matches that the WWE used to have. What are
There's
they?
difference.
Well,
I'd rather see the mud matches with like Dawn Marie
Very
versus
true.
Chris Jericho.
But the gimmick matches of falling into vats and stuff. I mean, I don't know. So Howard, let me ask you about that with what's going on between the WWEs and the AEWs. What's your take on wrestling today in general? I mean, you've been around it a long time. What's your thoughts on the state of wrestling right now?
Well, obviously, COVID-19 has changed the landscape quite a bit. I mean, it's as long as it's generating the viewership, that's what's important. As long as people are tuning in, then there's a market for it. If people aren't watching, then they have to change it. So when the ratings go down, that's why they change things up. They change writers, they change creative direction.
How about the Thunderdome concept? Do you think that's helping at least the WWE bring audience members in virtually?
I do. It also gives a very unique look to something that hasn't been seen before. And I really like the way they actually stagger it. So it's it's not cardboard cutouts like you see at the baseball games, but by having video screens in different rows, it gives a third dimension to it. And I watched one match, actually highlights of a match, and it was Randy Orton against Keith Lee.
Mm-hmm.
And when Randy Orton went for his cutter, I forget what he calls it,
RKO.
The RKO. The faces on the video screens were really into it,
right?
And that kind of pops, and it gives you another dimension, especially since there's no live audience there. At least you get the feeling of there's some kind of an emotional reaction, and that's the biggest disconnect that's had a problem with wrestling over the last several months, because there have been no fans in the audience. Even when they in WWE had the students or the other NXT workers in the audience, to give at least some kind of feedback, was better than just having a completely empty arena. And trust me, I've run shows in empty arenas without COVID-19, so it's a challenge.
Life of an indie promoter.
It's quite a challenge, but I think as long as people are tuning in, that's what's going to drive the industry. That's what's going to drive the creative, prowess of it. I think both AEW and WWE are doing the best job that they can. Even Impact and Ring of Honor, they're doing the best that they can under the circumstances that they're in. I think there's going to be some changes. I'd be interested to see if, first of all, I don't think Brock Lesnar's going to go to AEW unless Tony Khan reels out a whole bunch of money, although that's possible. The guy's got pretty deep pockets. But I think WWE, because they've nurtured that perception in pro wrestling, they would step up and say, all right, what are they offering you? We're going to throw this match.
Match them. Right.
And I think that's just, that would be smart business.
Which apparently is what happened with AJ Styles, because I guess AEW is hot for him, and then, Vince threw money at AJ to keep him there as well, if I read the report correctly from last week. So it's interesting, and that's a great point. This whole COVID thing for a lot of businesses is changing the way people have to do business.
Yeah.
Now, Matt and Jason, you guys not too long ago, didn't you guys do the virtual watch on one of the shows? There was a pay-per-view not too long ago.
It sucked.
Wait, was that a SmackDown episode that you did?
Yep.
Tell us why was it so bad?
As soon as you went into it and it said you have joined, it kicked you out of it before the show even started.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh. So was it a bad feed, or was it just that maybe there was no space left in the
or was it your face?
You want to get kicked in the head?
Like Randy, he misses.
That's right.
I better watch what I say. I could lose my job.
Yeah, exactly.
Remember who you're talking to over there. Exactly.
Shut up there, left, right.
That's right.
No, it's pound sign.
Oh.
Hey, before we go to break, I'm going to give ourselves a commercial. So if we can get that timpani roll ready, we have a major announcement with a new edition on our website. So Matt, I'm going to throw it to you, and let's talk about something new that's on our website officially, and we have a giveaway.
Yeah.
Go for it.
Check out thoughtscountanywhere.com because we have a merch store.
We have a merch store? No way.
Yeah,
Really?
we got hats and shirts. We got 2 different hats and 3 different T-shirts to choose from.
It's funny, that's not a timpani, but that's okay. We'll take applause.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now we'll add more merchandise if folks out there want to get in touch with us with some ideas and things that they'd like to see from us. But we wanted to start basically simple: a couple of shirts, a couple of hats, see how they would go.
Yeah.
So that's cool. So go out there and support the cause for TCA to stay on the air. Anyway.
I want to give a shout out to
Go for
Matt
it. Yes.
because he's done a wonderful job with the website,
Absolutely.
the online store, the social media, and I'll throw this out, and maybe Howard and I will talk about it a little later. Matt's working on something else for us. Whoop, whoop. So we might talk about it later. We might not.
We're not going to talk about it. 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 And maybe we'll talk about it. Yeah, exactly. On the show.
That's called a classic tease, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes. But I want to thank Matt for all the hard work he's been doing.
This show was brought to you by the letter B.
Yeah.
I'll leave it at that.
The letter B. As in the insect bee.
3 times.
Think about it. That exact moment when you realized.
B cubed. B cubed. But anyway, in conjunction with helping Matt, let's give Aaron E. here at the studio a thumbs up as well, because he helped work with Matt to get the store established and get everything up and running as well. Who? Aaron E. did. Who? New Day. Okay.
New Day.
Now, we also have some giveaways, so
Yes.
let's talk about that before we go to break.
If you go to thoughtscountanywhere.com right now, you have 15 minutes left to register for the Becky Lynch statue, and that will be picked about 7:40. And we will have a trivia question after the break for the Fiend figure.
There you go.
Fiend figure. I like that.
Thanks to Big Bang Toys
Absolutely.
on
Big
Sahara
Bang. Yep.
Indicator.
Right on.
Give them their props.
That's right.
Hopefully he's not going to be handing it to somebody. What was that?
That's right.
If he hands it to somebody, I'm going out the door.
I was going to say, but here's the good news.
Peace.
The red light didn't turn on with it, so he's nowhere nearby. So anyway, all right, with that, let's step aside for our first break, ladies and gentlemen. You are watching this week's episode of Thoughts Count Anywhere show, coming to you live from the Go Live Vegas studios in Las Vegas, Nevada. We're going to step aside for a quick break. We'll be back in about 60 seconds. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back.
Looking to advertise your small business at a low cost? Do you need your commercial designed or actually produced for you? Advertise on 2 of the hottest shows on the internet, Power Play Sports Collectibles and Thoughts Count Anywhere. Both shows with getting over 40,000 views per week for only one low cost. For more information, please email info@thoughtscountanywhere.com.
Are you looking for someone to provide training to your sales staff? Do you need a motivational speaker about how to handle change? Do you have an upcoming event that needs an MC to handle those responsibilities? Well, look no further than longtime Las Vegas radio personality Aaron Phillips. I am local to Las Vegas, and I can blend my talents with any audience. For more information, please visit www.aaronphillipsvoice.com and book me for your next event or training needs. Hey, welcome back to Thoughts Count Anywhere. We're trying to tune in to the
You are button munching over there. You're just like
No, I'm trying to hit the channels that the hockey
voice
game should be
cannot
on.
do 2 things at once.
No, I cannot. Like talk and kick your ass, yeah, that would be kind of tough to do.
Oh, yeah, I'm so scared.
All right, welcome
we
back.
all just get along.
Scott, why don't you handle the formal introduction of our guest in studio?
Sitting to my left, and for the viewers, to my right, I guess. I have a good friend of mine that I've known for about 20 years, former board of director, like myself, of an organization. But once again, a very good friend, former president of NWA, also part of the Ring Warriors that was here. And what else do you want to say about yourself? But this is Howard Brody, everyone.
Thank you for that wonderful introduction.
Welcome.
Yeah, trying to think is, hey, good guy all around.
You could have asked for the bio.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Okay.
sent it to you.
I know. I
Yeah,
sent it
you're
to
the one
them.
that sent it to us.
Yeah, exactly. I've known Howard so long now. It's
It's everything.
yeah.
That's right.
Oh, yeah,
He's my world.
Oh my gosh. You guys want a room?
No.
Little space at the
that's-
table?
All I did is buy him dinner. I don't know.
Well,
And that's all it took?
Swipe left, left, right. I don't.
cheap dates, ladies and gentlemen. That's what it's all about around here. So go ahead, Scott. Let's get started. Go ahead. Go for it.
So Howard, you've had lots of experience. 40 plus years in wrestling?
Let's not push it, but yeah, it was pretty close to that between writing for magazines and in college I did kind of like a thesis paper on pro wrestling for one of my marketing classes, and I've always had a passion for it. I've been a fan, like yourself, probably everybody in the room here. A lifetime wrestling fan. Grew up watching Worldwide Wrestling Federation, going to the shows at Madison Square Garden in New York, and got into wrestling in my mid-20s, so about 35 years ago. So pretty close to 40, but probably more like 37, something like that.
38 and a half. And
So it's like that address number, 38 and a half on the door.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So in your years with NWA as president, you worked with some great guys, one being Dusty. Tell us some of the...
I actually worked with Dusty after the NWA stint. During the NWA stint, it was kind of like I won't say the lean years, but like Chris Candido was our champion when I first joined. Dan DeBeast Severn was the most noted. And then, of course, we had the relationship with World Wrestling Entertainment, where Dan went to WWE as the NWA champion, and we had that actually, his appearance on that show, and Dennis Corluzzo and myself being on Raw, actually what reinvigorated the NWA. It was like dead before then.
Right, because the whole WCW and the...
WCW pulled out.
Yeah.
There were no membership. Nobody really had TV. Kind of like the last nail in the coffin, for lack of a better term, was ECW, when they were still Eastern Championship Wrestling, did a tournament that Shane Douglas won. Then he threw the NWA belt down, said it was a dead organization. And that was more of a personal thing between Paul Heyman and NWA promoter Dennis Corluzzo out of New Jersey. There was a lot of heat there. Basically... and then I left the NWA in 2001, so I was there for like 7 years. I was president from 1996 to 2001, so I was president for 5 years. I was with the organization for 7.
What was your? I'm sorry. Go ahead, Matt.
I just said nice. Go ask your question.
What was the aha moment when you knew you were sold that wrestling was an industry that you wanted to be involved in? When was it?
Oh, geez. It's funny because I grew up as a kid watching wrestling, and I had when I was going to college, I had this idea. I was going to journalism school, University of Florida, and I had this idea of putting together a wrestling encyclopedia because there wasn't one. So I started doing a whole bunch of research, going into like microfilm and like all these antiquated.
You want to let our listeners know what microfilm is? Microfiche?
Yeah, actually, microfiche. We went to the University of Florida library, and they had all the New York Times archives, and you would take these little reels that basically look like negatives, and you put it on this viewer, and you wind through, pages and pages and pages of New York Times newspaper archives.
This old home week for you over there.
I was going to say
that was before me.
So I was doing a lot of research, and I gave a proposal to a publisher who said, no, I don't think it would be a good idea. Or actually, he liked the idea. It was a guy by the name of Che Lo who actually published Main Event magazine. Che Lo brought it to his magazine editor at the time was George Napolitano. And George said, horrible, horrible idea, never going to work. Nobody would buy it. About a year later, George Napolitano came out with the pictorial history of wrestling that he and Bert Sugar put together, and it was not anywhere close to what I wanted to do.
But he worked your gimmick.
Oh, he absolutely
Stole
the idea. To put it bluntly, absolutely stole it. But look, it took me a long time to get over that. And that kind of like set the stage for it. And at one point in high school, when I moved from New York to Florida, I kind of fell out of watching wrestling and only periodically would watch it on TV. And then I went to a big event at the Orange Bowl, which was called the Super Bowl of Wrestling, which was the NWA champion Harley Race against the WWF champion Superstar Billy Graham. and it was like this all-star match or card, and went to that. But then I kind of really didn't watch it. When I got to college at the University of Florida, there was every Saturday night, and I was already living with my future ex-wife. Wrestling would come on 6:05, and it was Gordon Soley and Roddy Piper. Mm-hmm. And Piper just had a way of, you wanted to hate him. He was like the ultimate heel.
Yeah.
And to the point where my ex, who hated wrestling, but hated Piper.
So job done then.
And when they came to town, she wanted to go see it because he was going to be on the card. She wanted to see him get his ass kicked. So we went to the O'Connell Center to watch wrestling, and I started getting back into it. And it's like, maybe I could write for the magazines. I like it, and went through a couple of interviews, and I really made the transition from journalist to promoter. Kind of, I won't say it's a joke, but one of my best friends at the time, a guy by the name of Craig Cohen.
Nice last name, by the way.
He was working for the old Florida office in Florida. He would actually help. Danny Miller was the local promoter, and the local publicity guy was a guy by the name of Frank Basha. And Craig would help Frank promote the local shows in Miami at the Miami Beach Convention Center or the Fort Lauderdale War Memorial Auditorium. And when I was writing for the magazines, I would go to the matches, and I became friends with Craig. So we took a trip to Tampa, and at this time, it was right at the end of when the territories were all shutting down, and they were folding up. And we said, we should start our own wrestling promotion. We know enough people in the business between him, he and I both knew everybody. And at the time, a guy by the name of Rusty Brooks was running a promotion in South Florida called, I think, Pro Wrestling or Independent Pro Wrestling or something like that. Anyway, we didn't want to compete with Rusty. So we said, you know what, why don't we do an all-women's group? And so we created the original WOW, the Wild Women of Wrestling. And that was like my foray into wrestling. And I've always had kind of a big ego. We're trying to bite off more than I could chew, and I always believed, go big or go home.
Sure.
So we went from having our first show in a lesbian bar in a place called Wilton Manors in front of about 250 women.
Attendees.
Yeah. Attendees is a good
Keep
thing.
it good.
And the police actually shut us down because we were outside. The building or the business didn't pull the correct permit. We ended up with a battle royal on the dance floor, which was kind of like a huge clusterfuck of all the women like jumping on top of each other.
Sold more
and that
tickets,
was
right?
bad why?
No, the women inside loved it. They thought it was great. We went from that. The very next show I produced was a TV taping
Okay.
at the War Memorial Auditorium, where we brought every top woman at the time, with the exception of Misty Blue. We've had all the top women in the world at the show. Wendy Richter, the Glamour Girls, Lisa Moretti, Candy Devine, Heidi Lee Morgan, Bambi, Peggy Lee Leather. We had all these girls in South Florida.
Lisa Moretti.
We had, no kidding. We had a guy by the name of Bill Cardell, who was a play-by-play man for the old WWF before Vince Jr. took over, and Bruno Sammartino doing our color. And so we went from having a show in a lesbian bar to doing major television, spent an awful lot of money to produce 4 one-hour shows that were eventually seen on like Sports Channel America, and that was it for Wild Women of Wrestling. Then we did some like live shows, but that's how kind of the
Right on.
etymology of how I got there.
Right on. Matt.
With your time in NWA, what was like your favorite moment? Like if someone was to say, like, what was your favorite moment of like your time in NWA?
Being on Raw. I mean, I was nervous as hell, but yeah, being on Raw with Corluso and I, being with Jim Cornette on, in what was it, Hartford? Like the Hartford Civic Center or something. There were like 13,000 people in the audience. I was scared to death. I mean, the most people I've ever been in front of before that was at my bar mitzvah.
That's actually the picture on our website when we promoted the thing.
I showed them that at
what
dinner.
happened-
I was like,
Is that this one on the bio? Is that the one we're talking about?
No,
Oh, okay.
that picture was taken like 2 years ago. So
sure it was.
no, that one was taken 2 years ago. That's when I still had my goatee.
Printed and taken are two different things.
So No, I think that was like the most memorable moment because for a couple of reasons. One, I left my clothing. I really left like my suit at home. I forgot to bring my jacket. So actually, in that picture, I'm wearing Kurgan, Rob, Big Rob, who's been in like a million movies now. I'm wearing his jacket because it was the only one that would fit me, except the sleeves. Except the sleeves came down to like here, and I had to roll them up underneath. And that's why in all the pictures, I'm like
Holding the sleeves.
I'm holding my sleeves in. Yeah.
702-329-6947 is our number. Give us a call. Howard's got stories and information, and I'm sure he'll be... we got a question that just popped into the chat room. Howard, who to this day do you still stay in contact with from all the wrestlers you've met?
Oh, wow. Well, one of my best friends is a gal by the name of Robin Smith, who wrestled as Rockin' Robin. I still stay in contact with Penelope Paradise. Through Facebook, I mean, a whole bunch of people. Jerry Briscoe is a real good friend of mine. Bambi and...
Not the one that gets shot in the Disney movie, right?
No.
Okay, the father of... I just want to make sure.
No. Selena Majors is her name, and she's actually the booker and talent coordinator at Women of Wrestling for David McLean now. There's a whole bunch of people. Gangrel, the vampire. Vampire Warrior, and a bunch of people like that. I was of course close with Dusty, and there's a lot of people.
We were having a similar conversation at dinner tonight,
right?
And he and I were starting to compare notes because, mine is more West Coast, I guess. His is more East Coast in that area, and we're trying to just keep touch with friends, and we're like, okay, a lot of people we know are dying.
Yeah.
And it's sad. I mean, but it's true. It's our generation is passing away, and we're like going down a list, and we're like, oh, that's sad.
Well, I mean, even Sabu lives here in town now.
Right.
And he's worked for me before, and Mike Rapata, who was the NWA champion. I still speak with Dan Severn. So I'm in contact with these people, not on a daily basis or anything.
But you still have a connection to them.
Of course.
Right on. All right. Matt, let's bring everybody up to date on the giveaway before we go to break.
Let's give away some stuff.
Are we ready to do that now or when we come back? What do you want to do? It's up to you.
We can pick the website winner right now.
All right, let's do that.
Drum roll?
Dare I ask for a drum roll this time? He doesn't have a drum roll.
He's not ready.
No, he doesn't have a drum roll.
What?
On those 9,000 things on his little hoop machine over there, he doesn't have one drum roll.
Mr. Aaron.
Yes, sir.
After we do the website giveaway,
yes, sir.
Is there any way I can give a nice little plug to Big Bang Toys?
Absolutely. We can give him two if you want.
Yeah, right now.
Absolutely.
Well, he's looking it up because it's doing its thing.
I'll take a second.
Yeah.
Plug him away.
Plug him away.
Plug him away.
Big Bang Toys, guys, is on Sahara in between Decatur and Arville. They have everything from Star Wars, WWE, Marvel, DC, and they also do signings every once in a while. So for all your Big Bang Toy needs, go to bigbangtoys.com and check them out.
You'll notice a white little box that keeps focusing around Jason.
Yeah, I look like I'm a little. I'm in a box.
Oh,
You're
it's just a
being
camera.
targeted.
You know what? It's the
That
guy.
SNL joke is like right there. I kind of just want to say it.
Do it. Do it.
Look over there. There's a dick in a box.
Hey! You're an asshole.
I know.
Send your emails to. Jeez Louise. All right.
Howard, I swear to God at dinner this was a family show.
All right, let's give that thing away, and then we're going to go to break.
The winner of the Becky Lynch statue is Jeffrey Bronk.
Right on. Congratulations. All right, Jeffrey.
I will be emailing the winner and set up some kind of delivery.
Right on. Excellent. Congratulations. Next up, we have
How
one.
about pick up at
Power Play
Sports.
Sports.
Is he in town?
Yes.
Okay, well, there you go.
Oh, okay.
Come to Power Play Sports Collectibles in the Boulevard Mall.
Say
I
hi to
will be
Jason.
there. And
There you go.
Pick up your Becky Lynch.
There you go.
In the box.
Wait, you can pick up Becky Lynch? Is that what
Absolutely. In a box.
In a box.
Thanks again to Big Bang Toys.
Yes.
Appreciate
Absolutely.
the giveaway.
Do we have something else to give away before the end of the show or not?
Yeah, we have a Fiend figure.
And
From
when we
Big
come
Bang
back,
Toys.
you'll have
From
a
Big
trivia
Bang Toys.
question, right? You'll have a trivia
Yes.
when we come back. All right. We are organized. Really, we are, folks.
Are you sure?
No. This is what happens when you just are on live radio.
I'm gone 1 week, and this is what happens.
See what happens when you leave? Everything
No.
goes to shit.
Somebody on this panel, by the way, mentioned we had great numbers last week when you weren't here, but I won't throw Matt under the bus.
Wow.
You're watching.
Name
Thoughts
rhymes with Aaron or something.
You're watching Thoughts Count Anywhere. We'll be back in 60 seconds.
4, 3, 2, 1.
For all your sports collectibles in Las Vegas, stop by Power Play Sports Collectibles in the Boulevard Mall. Power Play has a large selection of items from all your favorite teams, specializing in the Vegas Golden Knights, Las Vegas Raiders, and pro wrestling. Power Play Sports Collectibles has an online store if you prefer the online shopping experience, plus they ship worldwide. So if you're looking for that sports collectible for yourself or that special someone, check out Power Play Sports Collectibles online at www.powerplaysportscards.com or at the Boulevard Mall. All right, welcome back. Thoughts Count Anywhere coming to you live from Go Live Vegas Studios. Hey, by the way, as a reminder, we know you're watching us right now on Facebook, but don't forget, download the Go Live Vegas mobile app. Take us on the go if you got to run out of the house. This way you're not watching as you're driving, but you're listening while you're driving. Also, we're on YouTube, Periscope, Twitter, Instagram, Periscope, GoLive.Vegas, and of course, shows are all available on replay on YouTube as well as our Facebook page. And now we also have an archive tab on thoughtscountanywhere.com. You can go right to the site.
Archive tab?
Yeah, we have an archive tab.
Yeah, you
It's
watch
so old.
everything.
That's where the old guy is.
And you really shouldn't be pointing at Jason like that. You know?
I'm not the one he's pointing to there.
Also,
sir.
too, if you want to make it easier to go to the live stream through YouTube, just go to thoughtscountanywhere.com, click live show, and that'll actually take you right to the live stream on YouTube. Shop at our newly opened store. And now, for the question to win the Fiend collectible doll, take it away.
Before Bray Wyatt was Bray Wyatt, what was his name when he debuted in WWE?
Ooh, Mr. Carter.
We have to give a disclaimer that those employed and on the show at Thoughts Count Anywhere are immediately disqualified from winning said prize.
Employee means I get paid.
Exactly.
Volunteers for Thoughts Count Anywhere are ineligible for any winning contest. So, all right, so are we taking a call? Is that what we're doing?
First caller with the answer.
702-329-6947 is the number. What was Bray Wyatt's name when he appeared and debuted in WWE?
And it
Call
wasn't
now.
Mike Rotundo.
Was not Mike Rotundo, and it wasn't Bo Dallas either. 702-329-6947 if you're outside the United States. Even though we can't ship it for you right now, we'll give you the number anyway, 855-502-4321. Okay, Scott.
Well, the question that all the locals here in Las Vegas want to talk to Howard about is Ring Warriors.
Okay.
Does
And-
Scott? Does Howard want to talk about
Yeah,
it?
that's fine.
we're,
Oh, okay.
we're going to talk about the Ring Warriors Grand Champion, who is near and dear to especially Howard and myself and the guys here, especially Kevin Killer Cross.
Carrying Cross.
Carrying Cross.
Yeah.
Carrying. I forgot Carrying, too. Kevin Killer Carrying.
TikTok.
TikTok. Time's come.
Absolutely amazing talent. When we had the opportunity to put the Ring Warriors Grand Championship on him, despite somebody else on our roster lobbying for it, we decided.
Arn Anderson?
We decided A double, not double A, which is fine because he's a phenomenal talent
Yes,
as well.
he also is.
Jeff was going to initially we wanted to keep it on Jeff Cobb, but Jeff was going to Ring of Honor, had signed with Ring of Honor, was getting ready to go, and the decision was made who to put it on, and it really came down to two people. It came down to three people. We could have gone with Eli Drake, who is a phenomenal talent.
Yep.
Luke Hawks, who before we were on the air, I brought his name up on a question that you had asked me, and of course Kevin. And it just made sense because Kevin he had so much exposure on Impact. He was like a monster. He was so different than anybody else on our roster at the time. And really, ideally, we brought Lance Archer in because we wanted to create a feud between Lance Archer and Killer Cross. So when circumstances happened and we didn't shoot again and he signed with WWE, I told him in a text message, 2 years. In 2 years, he'll be main eventing WrestleMania. I really believe that. The guy's he's unique. He is decent in the ring. He's believable. He goes out there. He looks like a monster. And he gives the most unbelievable promos. He can talk, and he can talk people into buying a pay-per-view or into an arena. That's the type of person he is. And I just can't say enough good things about him. And it killed me when I saw him in the match against Keith Lee and he got hurt.
You and I were chatting online.
Yeah, and I saw it right away and it was like, oh, shit. You know, literally the biggest match of this guy's career and he got hurt. But yet he followed through and stayed with and did everything he was supposed to do for that match, as hurt as he was. That shows you what type of professional he is and what type of individual he is. And on a side note, for those who actually know Kevin here in town, he is one of the most genuine and one of the most nicest people I've ever met in my 30-plus years in and around the wrestling business.
I've had the privilege of interviewing him twice on past shows that I've hosted. He is one heck of a guy. We have a caller on the line, presuming for the raffle. So who's this? Please name and where you're calling from.
It's Chris Chandler from Charleston, West Virginia.
West Virginia. Go ahead, Matt. Take it away.
Cool. What was Bray Wyatt's name when he debuted for WWE?
Husky Harris.
Ding, 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 ding.
Husky
ding.
Harris was a member of, what was the faction? We'll give him for bonus point.
Nexus.
The Nexus, right. Coming up. That's right. Nexus.
Yeah.
Black and Yellow. Wade Barrett and Heath, what's his face? I would say Heath Ledger.
Slater.
I got Batman on my head because of you.
Heath Slater, who
Heath
will
Slater.
be at who will be returning home to West Virginia
Oh,
on
cool.
October 3rd. Yeah.
Right
so
on.
I'm looking
Nice.
forward to it. Yeah.
Congratulations for winning the Fiend piece. Matt, take it away on how we'll get it to him in West Virginia.
If you can message me at Thoughts Count Anywhere's Facebook page with your address, I will ship it out sometime this week for you.
Scott's got all my info.
This
Okay.
is your flyer guy, isn't it?
Yep.
This is the flyer guy.
Absolutely. He's working on a logo for us, too. And Howard,
It will be done
here's our
tomorrow.
logo guy.
It's actually
Yeah.
really good. It's really looking good. So.
Chris put that in the chat room
Awesome.
earlier
Yeah.
that he's working.
I saw that I blew it up. I was like,
But-
hey, Scott, look.
Yeah, he did, because I don't have my laptop here today. But a little shout out to Chris. He does all our flyers for Power Play. He's also doing some logo work for another organization that I'm involved with. And then also, I think in the next week or so, I don't have all the details because I was from one thing to another. Then Howard and I went to dinner here to the show. I've been going since 4 o'clock this morning. We will be doing a Power Play auction.
Okay.
Yep,
Yes.
we'll be doing it the last Saturday of this month at 6:05. So we'll have more information about that. Scott should have it next Wednesday, and you guys can talk about it on the podcast.
Absolutely.
All right.
On Power Play
All right.
Show or something at the store?
Chris
Either
takes care of a
one.
lot of auctions,
Gotcha.
and he does a lot of things back east. And I thought it'd be nice to include some
Yeah,
East Coast customers.
sure.
So he's going to run the auction from back east.
Right on.
And in the future we might do one here, but as busy as I am right now, and the guys are at the store.
Heck, we can just pop Chris up on our screen here. We can do
Yeah.
it that way too.
But juggling plates are all paper right now.
Absolutely. Try washing paper plates. That ain't easy. Thank you, Chris.
Chris, thanks a lot for calling
thank
in.
you guys.
Thanks,
You
Chris.
guys have a good one. Be safe.
For those who may have an eye on tonight's hockey game with 8.8 seconds left, Tampa Bay Lightning scored the go-ahead goal to beat the Islanders 2-1 in Game 2 tonight, and we pretty much had to keep
I need to,
Howard from falling off. As you can see, he's an Islander fan.
and I'm going to say now, woohoo! Station casinos. Somebody took Tampa Bay.
there you go. All right, so
Go
they're
Knights,
up.
go.
They're up 2-love, and there you go. And the Knights are tied 1-1 now
And
with
I won
Dallas.
a ton of money on Game 1. I think I paid for sushi the other night with Game 1. I took the stars.
702-329-6947. We have about 15 minutes left in this show. Send us a live tweet using hashtag Thoughts Count Anywhere. And, of course, please make sure you visit our beautiful new website, thoughtscountanywhere.com. Archive shows, live shows, and now a brand new store is open where you can get all your collectible shirts and hats for Thoughts Count Anywhere. Do we want to step aside for another break? You want to go right to the top and break a little early and run commercials? What do you want to do, Scott?
I say we just keep going.
All right, sounds good to me.
It's my commercial. I can skip it. I'm having fun tonight.
That's good. Well, we need to make a commercial now for a merchandise store,
Okay.
don't you think? Well, not right now.
Talk to social media guy.
No, but a professionally produced one.
Talk to
here
the
at-
producer guy.
I was going to say, one professionally done at Go Live Vegas Studios. All right.
You don't
so-
want to see me in a small T-shirt?
No, I don't.
Okay.
No, I don't. All right, let's ring the bell.
He's busy right now.
I know. That's what I'm trying. I asked him if he wanted to ask a couple of questions. He waved me off.
No, I
unless
think
he's
I made
changed.
him completely ill.
Are you good over there?
The visuals.
The boss made me ill, so let's just go past that. Okay.
Gotcha. All right. So I'm going to start with a question that's on our sheet here, Howard. Give us a Mount Rushmore. 4 people on your Mount Rushmore.
Oh,
They could be performers, active. They could be promoters.
Howard,
whoever.
don't fall over now.
That's
just
right. There's a seatbelt we'll bring out in a few minutes. Check.
wow. Well, I'll go from as far as performers who I've actually seen.
Okay.
Bruno Sammartino,
Oh yeah.
Andre the Giant, Hogan, boy, the fourth one's tough. Yeah, I'm not going to go with Flair because everybody goes with Flair, and quite frankly, I think Ricky Steamboat was a better worker.
Wow.
I would
Ricky,
go-
I could see Ricky.
I would go.
Dragon.
I would go with Ricky Steamboat.
Wow.
I can't disagree. I mean, it's not my 4, but definitely. I mean, that just shows how much wrestling and guys that have contributed to the world of wrestling over the time frame.
Absolutely. And there's no right or wrong answer to that question. No. I mean, the fun thing is it's a question that tends to create a lot of debate of names,
Hogan's
but
the big debate on a lot of them because he couldn't wrestle a lick,
Well,
but he sold.
Actually,
he sold.
I'll argue with you there because if you ever watch any of his matches from Japan, any of them,
True. Yeah.
Hogan could work. He was taught by Hiro Matsuda. Matsuda was a consummate professional, and when he went to Japan and he was in the ring with Muda or he was in the ring with
Baba.
some of these other guys, they pushed him, and he worked his ass off. So, whether he was in there with Hansen or Vader or any of these guys, he could work.
But the U.S. version of Hogan,
his style working for. Well, even when he worked for AWA, when he worked against Bockwinkel, he did more wrestling.
Oh, very true.
Than the the WWF style or the WWE style was always like that brawling style. If you watch old matches of like Sammartino against Killer Kowalski or Bulldog Brower or some of those guys,
Koloff.
there was always a lot of punching and kicking and stomping and stuff like that. There would be there would be there were a lot of rest holds, but there was a lot of wrestling holds as well. But for the most part, it was always that comeback was the big punch out and things like that. And so Hogan carried that through. And when they wanted to have that larger than life character to build that whole promotion around, they got the biggest guy who had just come off of Rocky III.
Yep.
He was a big, blonde-haired, tanned guy that nobody could beat, and that's what they built the promotion around him. And it was, it was.
And you say that. Gagne was Gagne. We know that.
Yeah.
Gagne never wanted Hogan to have a belt. But do you think the whole landscape of wrestling would have changed if Gagne would have had the mentality to put the belt?
Oh, man, let me tell you something.
Things could have really just been different.
If Vern would have put the strap on Hogan, Hogan would have stayed in the AWA.
Yeah.
Okay, because they were drawing. They were drawing. But he wanted to keep it on Nick, and Nick told me that he kept on telling Vern, put on Hogan,
Put it on
which
Hogan.
is why when Hogan left, Vern finally broke down and gave it to Rick Martel.
Right, because he said, put
He
it
didn't
on a
want
young,
to, he didn't want he didn't want to lose that, but the whole landscape would have changed drastically.
'Cause Nick and I were good friends, just like you and Nick were your friends here locally too. And Nick told me the story, going in the office with Vern, and Nick wanted to, kind of go on in his years. And it was like, okay, Hogan's gone. Who do we give the belt to? And Nick said, we got a young, good-looking guy here. And Nick actually told me that Vern looked at him and said, "You mean Greg?"
Yeah, I heard that. And listen, no offense to Greg, Greg was a good tag team wrestler, and him, Jim Brunzell, had a great run,
absolutely,
as the High Flyers. But look, a lot of people only remember Vern as the old man wrestling. They don't even remember Vern in the mid '60s or early '60s when he was a hell of a great wrestler.
Yes.
So it was always that old mentality of keeping yourself and your cronies up on top to kind of hurt the business. But yeah, if Vern would have given Hogan the strap, I think you would have seen a much different landscape. It would have been interesting to see who Vince would have chosen, because there was a lot of when I worked with Dusty on his book. Dusty told me that there was a lot of talk about Vince talking to him about being like the national face of wrestling. Now, he certainly was not cut in the same mold as Hogan, but he certainly was the baby face that had the charisma, because his matches with superstar Billy Graham in the Northeast did great business.
And then Nick told me one time about him possibly going to NWA, taking the belt from Harley, until Nick saw how many matches and how many nights they worked a week. So, yeah, he said, I'll stay up here in Minnesota. Matt?
What was I going to...
You were going to do we have the question? No.
I think that was the last... I usually ask the Mount Rushmore question.
Okay, cool.
So you know what? Why don't we take the time, because we're down to about a little under 10 minutes or so. If we want, why don't we touch on a couple of wrestling topics, and we can go to pop culture. We can get Howard's input on all of those as well.
Yeah.
So, Jason, why don't you pick a topic under the WWE report, and let's chat about it as we close out.
I'm going to do what I should always do.
There you go. See, I was testing you.
All right, I'll hit this one. John Cena says WWE owns the rights to his legal name and are getting a part of the royalties from his movies.
When I read that the other day, I was just like, say what?
Well, that's very common that Vince buys your name. I mean, look at Cody right now.
Right.
And if you look at The Rock's first few movies, let it be Walking Tall, and that, WWE is the producer of them.
Right.
And so they are going to, John is just starting out in the entertainment industry of movies.
Mm-hmm.
So until he starts pulling those Rock dollars and
But what
ratings-
makes it interesting is, though, John Cena is his real name, as we were talking about before
True.
I went on the air. It's not like he took a character name
Right.
and owned it, like you said with some of the others.
Sometimes you make
So,
a deal with the devil.
I guess so.
To keep your job.
But Cena says he's okay with it because he feels, it's a way of paying back Vince for the trust and giving him the opportunity. So
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, what would John Cena be if he just worked down at an indie organization?
John?
Yeah, John.
Just
I mean,
John.
if you look at some of his early indie, Vince made John and put a lot
Right.
of money in his bank account.
Absolutely.
John almost lost his job with WWE. He was on the verge, and he said this in his bio as well as in the
Ruthless Aggression documentary.
thank you. He said, John literally stated in a quote, was about to lose my job just because the fact is that my character stinks and they want to see what I can do.
He was super vanilla, and then he started rapping backstage and turned into a Doctor of Thugonomics.
Thugonomics.
Yep.
He was the prototype when he was working out in California.
Yes.
For Rick Bassman.
Yep.
I just want to let everybody know that white box we were seeing around Jason's face earlier has now caused the camera to completely collapse. It is now not working. We
He
can't
broke
bring
the-
Jay.
I
He broke
broke the camera.
Brandy mentions in the chat room that Rusev made his debut tonight on AEW, which he did. He made it as Miro. Looked like Eminem with a beard on his face, but anyway, there were
Ate too
chants.
many M&Ms.
There were chants of Miro Day in the background for those who are interested. Matt, pick another topic.
Jason's pick kind of bleeds into another one also. WWE released a statement that they didn't want their wrestlers to use any kind of third-party applications or streaming services, which they've later come back and said they can use Twitch and YouTube with their actual names, but WWE owns their actual names.
It's a catch-22 there, isn't it?
So
Yeah.
they just want to be known about it. I guess it all started because Lana was promoting Bang Energy drinks on her Instagram, probably without WWE's approval.
She'll go to AEW
How
with
the
the
hell
husband.
does she still have a job?
She won't for long, not with Miro over at the other place. Just
Does
like
Cody
Renee.
even want her over there?
I don't know.
Why would
Is
you
the
want that?
divorce
headache?
final?
Ask Lashley. I don't
Yeah.
know. Ask Lashley.
I like the pop culture. I'm just going to go.
All right,
to
let's
that
go to
one.
pop culture.
Yeah.
Because there's one I added there.
Pop culture.
Double
I thought,
jointed.
and Jason has a little spot behind here, but I'm going to take it because
Take it away.
Keeping Up with the Kardashians is going off the air.
Thank God.
Hallelujah.
Now, I'm not a big Barbara Walters fan at all, but I did watch the interview, and she had all the Kardashians on her show, and she basically was like, "None of you have talent. None of you sing. None of you. Why is America enthralled,
interested in you.
And she goes, "Wait, Kim, we did see the movie. Now we know why."
That's right. Well, it's like Chris Lee knows best. How does this guy who's a real estate mogul in Atlanta get a show?
Still
Why?
have a show and it's still on.
Yeah, why? I mean,
I don't know how he got up. That show was actually pretty funny.
yeah, but
Sometimes.
How did a guy like that get a show? Just like the Kardashians, how did they get a show? But anyway, I digress.
Ask Kim.
Ask Kim.
I guess.
Was it Ray J?
Kim, Ray,
I noticed you shook your head right away
Kim, Ray J,
I
Kanye.
remember.
that night.
No, I remember Arsenio Hall talking about the video on one of his talk shows way back in the day.
That's his story, and he's sticking to it, too. Batman this week, movie halts production as star Robert Pattinson tests positive for COVID-19, folks. Holy reveal, Batman.
If he was a real superhero, he wouldn't have gotten the COVID.
What do you well, never mind.
They found his kryptonite.
Wow.
There you go.
Cough.
It was a cough
It was
and a sneeze.
California and West Coast wildfires. One of them, we were talking about this the other day on one of the other shows I was on. Over 7,000 acres were burned because of a smoke bomb that went off at a gender reveal party in California.
Yeah,
One of those fires.
And this is more of a serious topic.
Yeah, of course it is.
Be careful out there, when you're doing stuff like that. I mean, fireworks, all that kind of stuff. And because I heard on the news this morning, one of the fires, they're trying to rescue some 60 people that are surrounded by a fire, trying to get a helicopter in to rescue those people.
Right on.
And, it is serious. So
Well,
God
to those
bless
all
them. I wish
affected,
them all the best.
absolutely, exactly. And the vision we had here Monday
the
night,
smoke.
Tuesday was absolutely crazy. We had 40-mile-an-hour winds here yesterday, which at least blew some of a lot of the haze out, a lot of the smoke out. But the situation out there still
I
is
thought it
not
was
under
in
control.
Tatooine with the sun. And
I thought it was Mars.
Yeah.
That's
I-
San Francisco.
Wow.
Wow.
That's crazy. That glow of orange is just eerie. Chief puts in our chat room, and God love Chief, the Kardashians reminds him of Impact Wrestling. Okay, so with that, one other thing from the weekend I want to...
Howard?
Damn.
I'm not touching that.
Not touching that with 10-foot drive shaft?
That's
So, one quick question for Howard.
Yes.
Okay, one organization has to fall. Ring of Honor or Impact? Which goes first?
I think Impact.
They've been on life support for 20 years, but
Chief...
No, it's not the same organization. It's not the same feel to it. It's not the same. It doesn't have the same vibe as it used to have.
yeah.
The heart of rock and roll was about to come on your radio right now. Chief mentions in the chat room his wife's brother, his brother-in-law, is currently fighting the fires in Northern California.
God bless you.
Jeez.
Chief, you're down?
Ryan...
yeah, Chief.
Oh,
from here,
wow, Ryan. Wow.
Did you? That's what I was just reading. We'll let that one sit in the chat room for right now.
We'll leave that one alone.
We'll leave that one
yeah.
alone.
What did I miss? 'Cause
You
it's
have
not
to-
my-
It's not in your.
Might as well share it. It's already on
Say
there.
it.
Go ahead, Jason. You're not on camera. I am.
Ryan put, what's the point of having a gender reveal in California anyway? The kid is probably just going to identify as an attack helicopter in a few years, LOL.
On that note, let me end with this story.
Ryan was here last week
Yes.
as my replacement.
And he
I'm
may
s-
not be back
Yeah,
now.
exactly. He will not be that fill-in host.
That's right. Yeah, exactly. Over the weekend, if you are a U.S. Open tennis fan, were you happy or unhappy that Novak Djokovic got tossed from the match, defaulted the entire Open because of an errant frustration at a tennis ball, and he nailed the back judge right in the throat with the tennis ball? Should he have gotten thrown out, or just a
No.
point, or...
I saw the video. I thought he grabbed the thing and purposely aimed it. He wasn't even looking.
I know. But anyway, okay, so you say you shouldn't, and I don't think you should have
That
either.
was stupid.
A default point, a match, or a set, but a whole
Suspended
match?
one game.
You know me, I'm going to fight the other way just to be.
The heel. The heel.
You have to be responsible and for what you do in life.
You're so full of shit right now.
That was the female back judge.
Yeah.
Yes,
Oh,
you
she
got-
deserved it. Nah.
Send your emails to Howard Brody.
And you can see the evil look
If they
on
were from
Scott's
California,
face.
hit him again.
No, obviously, it was an accident.
Sure.
And I think it was an overreaction.
Yeah.
But I think that's the society that we're in today is everything's overreaction. On
What?
On every
No.
on every level about everything.
But
So-
it is actually a rule in the U.S. Open
Yeah.
book that you cannot. Anyway, you can't do that.
So with that being said,
Yes.
we're going to do a short little public service announcement.
Go for it.
Just keep your eye out for Howard and Scott and Matt and a few others that might be coming up with something very beneficial to wrestling here in the future.
Okay.
Is that good enough? Okay.
As Ed would say,
Speaking of
enough
gender reveals, right?
Yes, Mr. Vice President.
as somebody by the name of Ed here in Las Vegas would say,
Mr.
enough
Attack
said.
Helicopter to you.
So, all right. Anyway, Mr. Tackcopter. Oh, crap. All right. The red light is on, which means we have about 1 minute left before the Fiend comes in.
It's
Jason,
been on for a minute.
I know it has. Final thoughts, Mr. Jason.
Be safe, wear your mask, and that's it.
Matt.
Stay safe out there. This place is full of crazy people. California people keep coming over here.
Absolutely.
Can they shut our borders down, please?
Stop
After the week I had, they can all stay.
Stop whining.
Stop being so political. This is not a political show.
Not that wall, a new wall.
The Matthew Mullen, the Matthew Mullen wall.
Howard, thank you for coming in, I think.
Hey, listen, it's been fun. I'm glad you guys really don't take yourself so seriously.
We can't.
Like
We try
like
not
so
to.
Many, like so many people try to do these days. Yeah, the more levity we have, I think the better off we are. And just thank you for having me on here and talking a little bit. And
We'll do it again for sure.
thanks again, guys.
You got it.
Appreciate it.
Thank you for coming down. We greatly appreciate it.
Absolutely. Scott?
Is anybody watching the NBA?
The what?
The what?
The what? All I know is Milwaukee got bounced out yesterday, so now there's all talk.
Bounced?
Exactly why I
Did
said
they
it.
even play? I'm not watching the
That
NBA.
Miami Heat took them out 4-1. So, and
For those on the know, you
anyway.
know what I mean.
Yeah. All right.
On that note,
Dare I ask if you have any final thoughts officially? No, we'll end it right there. All right.
Ratings are down like 30%. That tells me I'm not the only one.
Not on Thoughts Count Anywhere, by the way. 30% not on Thoughts Count Anywhere. We're not down 30%, are we?
Visit our merch store.
That's
So
right.
that's my final thought.
ThoughtsCountAnywhere.com. Check out any of the archive shows, but more importantly, also check out the new merch store that's up. Get your favorite hat, shirt from Thoughts Count Anywhere. As always, for all the crew up here, as I always like to say, close out every show. Be kind to each other. Why is that? We're all we got. As the Fiend would say, we'll see you next time right here on Thoughts Count Anywhere. Be safe. Have a great week.
So goodbye to you and farewell to thee.